You're a coward and a liar, putting your life above theirs. The good news is there's hope for you, Private. Hope in the form of glorious combat. Battle is the great redeemer, the fine crucible in which only the true heroes are forged. The one place where all men truly share the same rank, regardless of what parasitic scum they were going in. I'm Liam, he's Rob, and this week on the Hey Guys podcast, we take a look back at what I would argue is one of the finest popcorn movies of the 21st century, and without question, the best video game movie that just so happens to not be based on an actual video game. Doug Liman's 2014 smart sci-fi actioner Edge of Tomorrow, or whatever the hell you want to call it, might not have crushed at the box office, but solid word of mouth has ensured cult status for this top-tier Tom Cruise sci-fi classic, or as close to cult status as a movie that made 317 million at the global box office can get, I suppose. Whether it be the fantastic premise, the great lead performances from Cruise and Blunt, or Doug Liman's admirable commitment to practical effects, I would argue that this is the perfect example of a modern blockbuster done right. If you just ignore the last 20 minutes, that is. Now, Rob, I'm a big fan of this movie. I was almost kind of surprised that it went somewhat under the radar back in 2014. But I know I've mentioned, cult status and the fact that it did quite well. But because of its production budget, which was like 170 million, it was seen as something of a box office disappointment rather than a flop. But yeah, I feel like appreciation for this movie has grown year on year. And going back to it, for the most part, it's absolutely stood the test of time. We'll obviously get to the ending, which I suspect we're both going to have issues with. But are you a fan of this film? Or, were you a fan going into this at least?
No, I wouldn't say I was a fan going into it. I was intrigued going into it. And for all my Tom Cruise misgivings and everything, I don't mind this film.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this film, as you've said, alluded to multiple times already, the ending. The ending really upsets the apple cart of the whole film. It taints it a lot. I still don't mind the film. I like Tom Cruise's redemption. I do think him falling in love with her, she not returning that affection because she's only known him for a day, whereas he's known her for 300 days or whatever it was. I like all that nuance that around it, the team, everything like that. I think it's shot beautifully. I like the mimics, the way they move. I think it's a good film. Tom Cruise, again, as we said last week, can play smarmy jackass beautifully.
He does it fantastically in this one. I actually thought of you very specifically in one of the opening sequences, because when the film started, I had my reservations, because they had the whole it's almost like a cliche now to have like the news reports. It's like an opening barrage of news reports. Visually, that section had me a little bit concerned because it doesn't actually look all that great. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastically useful as it allows the movie to get going. And one of the biggest benefits to this film is that it just hits the ground running and never really stops and doesn't get too caught up in the timey-wimey sci-fi stuff. In fact, it's actually at its weakest when it does so. But obviously that leads into one of the opening sequences when Cruise meets Brendan Gleeson's character. And the way he's just so dismissive of his charm, which obviously his character is accustomed to working on people. I just imagine like you just sitting in front of Tom Cruise and him just putting on that charm, which just melts clearly. You read all these interviews, everyone's like, no, seriously, when you meet Tom Cruise, he's just a fucking charisma machine. You just like, once he puts the laser beams on you, just forget about it. And it would be effective on everyone except for you. You just be like, nah, I'm not fucking having it, bro. I'm not having it.
This coconut cake tastes like fucking ass. he's big up on the coconut cake, and he's like, there's the Tom Cruise coconut cake list or something for Christmas.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I've seen loads of interviews where people that, I'm off the Tom Cruise coconut cake list, or I'm on it. Apparently, there's some specialist bakery, and he sends can be up to 300 of these coconut cakes to people on his list for Christmas. And I just think, and everyone raves about it. Like I think Henry Cavill was on about it, Dakota Fanning on about it, and things. And they're, I love the coconut cake. I love it. And I'm thinking, oh, dude, I would hate it for sure.
You're like, of course, Tom Cruise gave me fucking coconut cake. He couldn't just send me a bar of dairy milk like a normal fucking human being. I've seen how this cunt eats popcorn. Yeah. He's just not like, of course he did. Of course.
Oh my God, the way he eats popcorn.
Yeah, the way he's
Yes.
popcorn is
Yeah.
mental. And, we have to separate those two things as usual. Like Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
the person, is clearly a bit of a head case. I think he obviously has charm to him because, like you said, you see these like actors and people who, when they work with him, they're just like, no, no, this dude's like fucking legit. But I just think he's just like super intense. But he is strange, undoubtedly. In this, one of the reasons I think he's so good is because his performance is so grounded. And I think it's one of the things I forgot because when you think back to this movie, naturally you think back to the premise, and in many respects, I actually think back to Emily Blunt, who is legitimately fantastic in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why is that backbend one of the fucking sexiest things in movie history? It's fucking so hot when she does the
Well,
backbend thing.
Doug Lyman must have thought so as well because he shows it more than once. Like I don't
Dude,
know how
he
many
knew
times.
what, like, as soon as they filmed it, I bet you everyone just went, dude, what the fuck? Like, I heard recently, my wife was telling me that supposedly John Krasinski was voted the most handsome man in the world.
Yeah.
I was like, dude isn't even the best looking person in his house. Like, what the fuck? Like, don't get me wrong, John Krasinski is a perfectly handsome dude. The most handsome guy in the world. He's like your handsome neighbor. I'm not having him as like the sexiest man on earth. Give me a fucking break. Am I being unreasonable here?
No, he's definitely an everyman. Like I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
yeah, yeah.
he stands above the crowd. He's definitely an everyman, but he's handsome,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he
Yeah.
is a handsome dude. He's like a solid, like, he's like a fucking six who's been Hollywooded up to, like, you only have to look at him in the office and be like, oh, he's like a 6 or a 7. And then you look at him, what's that most recent film where they've really handsomed him up for it? The
Fountain of Youth.
Fountain of Youth, yeah. Where
Yeah.
he's like an 8 or
Yeah,
a
but
9 kind
do
of
you know
thing.
what happened? Do you know what gave him the glow up from the office to that is growing the beard. He
Yeah,
grew the
well, that
beard. He
helps.
put a bit of silver fox in it. All of a sudden, he's the most
Yeah,
handsome man.
yeah, of course, he got fitter and stuff. It kind of takes the, because he had like quite a round face. It kind of sharpens up the angles. It was like that, who was that fucking, he's not like a singer, he's like a DJ from the UK. He had one of the most unbelievable glow. I think he kind of dated Taylor Swift briefly. He
Fuck
might be
no.
Scottish. Anyway, he was just this like whatever dude. And then all of a sudden he had the Hollywood glow up. Again, grew a beard, like you said.
Yeah.
And just, obviously had been to the gym. They put some makeup on him. I'm just like, oh my God, they just turned this like whatever dude into an ace. It gives us all hope, of course.
Yeah.
You see these things, you're just like, oh man, if I had just like infinite money, I could be pretty handsome too. Jesus
If
Christ.
I had all the money and all.
Well,
Let's go.
I think whatever your score is, Hollywood like adds 3. If you hit the gym, and especially for a movie role, you can add 3 to your score. You're not going to turn a 4 into a 10. I don't give a fuck how many times Danny DeVito goes to the gym. He's not going to be a fucking 10. But you could turn him from a 3 into a 6 for sure.
Oh,
anyway,
sorry. So I at least got a 5 in my future. Is what
yeah,
you've
got a comfortable 5 in your
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
As long as you become a Hollywood star, you're absolutely fine.
Hey, you've upset me as well a little bit because you've ruined my streak of guessing the quotes that you would do.
My apologies, sir. What do you think it was going to be?
Well, it was definitely Sergeant Farrell because if you're going to quote this film, you're going to yeah. But you went to the original one, and I honestly thought you were going to go tip of the spear, edge of the knife, crack of my ass.
I came so close, no pun intended, to choosing that quote. But like you said, when you're looking at a quote for this movie, it absolutely has to be Master Sergeant Farrell. It's just without a question. And
even
he's
that
one of the things
on your feet maggot guy.
Yeah, maybe, but I just love Bill Paxton so much in this film. He does what Bill Paxton does in 99% of the movies he was in. He just elevates the material. That could be like a whatever character, but just every interaction with him and Cruise is just awesome. And that's the thing. When you've got like a movie which is, to an extent at least, by design, repetitive, you need to have these actors in there who can elevate the material, who can make those subtle changes. And, he's not actually making any subtle changes beyond reacting to Cruise in a different way. He's basically delivering the same stuff and then just acting surprised when he's not getting the reaction he's expecting. So it's even trickier for Bill Paxton, but he just knocks out the park because I could just watch him say the same fucking quotes over and over again because he's just the best. Cruise, however, and it's quite interesting because especially early in the film, when they really go to the well, and it almost goes like, and we'll mention video games obviously at one point, but it almost goes like Super Meat Boy at one point, where it's like it kind of leans into the dark wit of the and the wry humor of the script. It's not like on the surface, but it's all underlying. And you see him die like 6-7 times in a row. It's like I said, Super Meat Boy stuff, and you suddenly realize, beyond the kind of high concept stuff, Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote this, or at least co-wrote it, really does elevate the material beyond this just being a high concept movie. But in those sections, you think they're not going to shoot it chronologically. So when Cruise is on the dropship, he's going to be filming the same sequence over and over again,
Yeah.
but at different parts of the film. So it's like, oh, well, you need to film it now, then you need to film it 20 loops in, then 60 loops in. And it's basically just like, oh, could you just give me 20% less fear and 15% more knowing? And then just keep ratcheting one up and reducing the other one. It must have been like a really interesting way of acting, like basically just doing the same sequence over and over again, but just in everyone, just like, you're a bit more badass, you're a little less scared, and you have a better idea of what's going on. And we just go on and on and on.
I tell you what he did so well was, I mean, as soon as he comes on screen, he's himself. And he's himself for a while, you know, and he's just smarmy and cowardice and everything like that, which I imagine Tom Cruise to be. And then
cowardice to Tom Cruise, the guy who jumps off the sides of fucking mountains and ties himself to the side of planes.
Yeah,
I don't think cowardice is something I would attach to Tom Cruise's name.
Because he wants people to like him. That's cowardice. Oh, please like me. Look at what I did.
I mean, I'll take your criticism of Tom Cruise, but I'm not
you're right.
anyone who's willing to tie himself to the side of a plane.
All right. You called me on that one. I'll give you that one still. But and then when he becomes world weary, and it gets to the point where the guy for the 15th time is hooking him up, and he just looks and he knows something like is different in this guy's eyes. And he just looks at me, you all right? And I need like 6 grenades, I need 3 more clips, I need get it now. And it's like fucking hell. Like,
well, that's the thing in this film. You think, oh well, you know, like you say, he starts off this smarmy cowardice, like, you know, real shitebag of a character. And he's fantastic at playing it. I mean, we did The Color of Money last week. He was a fantastic shitebag in that, and you kind of think, God, I wish Tom Cruise would play a shitebag more often. And my immediate thought going into this film is like, oh, he's going to have his cake and eat it because he's going to be a shitebag. Then he's going to become a hero. But he never truly becomes a hero. Like, he never has a heroic stance in this film. The word you used, I think, is perfect. He just becomes weary. He becomes competent, but he never approaches the film like, oh, I'm doing this in a heroic manner. I'm just doing it out of sheer attrition. I'm like, fuck, I'm doing this again. And he wears it all over his face. And that's why I think it's so important that this movie, with the 2 leads in particular, with Blunt and Cruise, that you've got genuinely good actors in the role, because they have to sell so much of the narrative with just like subtle emotional changes, subtle changes to their faces, because they don't lean into the narrative. They never explain what number the loop is at any given time. Yeah. You don't know how many times he's done, like, how many times he's been in the loop overall, but how many times, like, and that's one of the genius things for this movie. It basically, rather than being repetitive, it turns it into a bunch of mini loops. It's like, the loop to get to the beach, then the loop to meet Rita, then the loop to get back on the beach, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, mate.
No, that's okay. And that's what I like about that the way the story develops for this, is the fact that, he is living the same day over and over, but we're not seeing like, oh, day 50, day 60, day 400. We're not seeing that. I mean, as he said, the first time we see them get to the beach, off the beach, and they get to the caravan, and they get to the house, and then he makes her tea. He goes, oh, yeah, you want 3 sugars? And she said, oh, we've done this before. And he said, yeah, we've done it a few times. Like, we don't know. We think that's the first time they've made it that far, but it's not. For him, it's probably his 50th, 60th, however many times he's tried to do it. And it's done beautifully. It leads me to a 2-part question I've got for you, right, about reliving days. So in our everyday life, if somebody comes up to you and knows everything about you and says they're reliving a day, would you believe them? But also, if that same question is asked, but aliens have attacked, would you be more likely to believe them because something science fiction is going on?
Is this in relation to General Brigham specifically, Brendan Gleeson's character?
No, not really Brigham, because Brigham is just a dick anyway. But the guys,
he's a dick,
like, he's led these guys to their death towards the end because he knew things about their childhood, and how many loops has he done where he's got all that information from them? But that's what I'm saying. So everyday life, me, you live in this now. We've woken up, we've gone to work, we've come, we've recorded. Somebody comes up to you and says, fucking hell, you've done this day like I've noticed this day 500 times. I'm not too sure I'd believe them. I'd be more inclined if aliens have attacked, because I'm more into that science fiction era, I guess, then.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's strange because the only ones who really act in a kind of natural way to this and kind of really take it on board are J Squad at the end of the film. And like so much of this film, because as brilliant as it is and as wonderfully structured and written as it is, you have to go on kind of just like faith at times, because you know the decisions certain people are making are just to keep the narrative moving along. And believe me, I will take that. There is a world where this movie is 2.5 hours long. And it just doesn't need to be. Like the fact that they keep, considering it's such a high concept, so much happens, and they keep it like an hour and 40, hour and 45, fucking bliss. Like I've, as much as I'm looking forward to the new Mission Impossible, for instance, I've heard it's like nearly 3 hours. I've just got no time for that. It's like, I think you had the same opinion as me. I loved John Wick 4 for 90 minutes. I found it legitimately unfucking forgivable that film was nearly 3 hours long. Like legitimate, like I cannot believe so many people gave that film a pass, because
I mean, they could have cut out
crazy.
They could have cut out one of the stair falls. I know it's meant to be funny, but you didn't need that twice. You could have cut out going to Tokyo. You could have cut a lot of that film out.
The start, whatever. And it's such a shame, because there's 90 minutes of maybe the greatest action film of all time. Like, who's the dude you love who plays the German guy in it?
Oh,
like,
Scott Adkins.
Dude, Scott Adkins, fucking, like, that is legitimately one of my all-time favorite cameos in any movie.
Yeah.
Like, he is so fucking good, and the action sequence there is so good, but I was already kind of worn out, because I was just like, fuck, man, there's like another hour of this shit. I just need like a fan edit to just take out all the faff and just give me a 90-minute movie version of that movie. And this film, I just feel like there's no fat on the bones whatsoever. And like I said, that does mean you don't get every question answered. You don't get to go too far down the rabbit hole. You just have to accept. Like I said at the start with like the newspaper clippings, you're just like, all right, I guess we're in London. Sure. Like, I'm not even sure if it was just kind of a suitable and convenient shorthand that they go into France, and that basically, you know, the opening, I mean, it's basically at its core what Groundhog Day crossed with Saving Private Ryan. And it's just because of that, you look and go like, I know what's going on. It's like, that's part of the deal. It's like when they're making this film, they're just like, oh, we're just going to assume everyone knows what Groundhog Day is. Everyone's seen fucking Saving Private Ryan, so we can just get straight to it and just kind of explain a few bits further down the line. But to bring it back to that, the point you made, why would Brendan Gleeson be so reluctant to believe him when A, it's not just him. Two, he brings Rita along as well, one of his most decorated soldiers. He's got that fucking machine in his office. I don't know why he's keeping that device in his office, by the way.
Just in case. I think just in case.
Yeah, but if it was just in case, that would suggest that in the back of his mind, there's an element of this might work. There might be something to this, and yet he just refuses to believe it. And it's just. Well,
I suppose problem is, isn't it, with anything like this, it's evidence. Until you get any evidence.
How much does he need, man?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd want to take it on faith, especially from somebody that looks like Tom Cruise. He's already had, to him, this guy was in his office 3 hours ago.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that should work in his favor. He's seen what he's like.
I don't think so.
He's a coward. And then that same coward walks in with that level of confidence, that level of knowledge. And not just that, the Full Metal bitch. That's the big draw for me. He comes in with Rita and she believes him. He's just like, there's got to be something to this.
No.
And the other, sorry, one last thing is, why is it so bad if he walks out with this fucking thing? Why is it so bad?
Well, because again, to him, 3 hours ago, you had this guy bribing him. Mm-hmm. Literally, I will tell the world what you've done unless I don't go to the front line. Mm-hmm. To him, he's to the general, Tom Cruise is a grade A bullshitter. So what he's done, in his mind, he's convinced a weaker-minded soldier to believe him. No. Yeah, she doesn't see the kind, because you've seen all of this. Mm-hmm. Brendan Gleeson is in that office. He's not out there seeing all of this. He's seeing his people walk through his door 3 hours later. Tell him this, his greatest soldier, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't mean he knows this soldier. To him, that's just somebody on the front line that's killed a bunch of people, and she's been used as a marketing tool to bring more soldiers in. Again, it's another tool, and a little bit of it, probably sexist. Just because a woman believes doesn't mean I'm going to believe this. Like, the other thing about this film...
No, I get it.
The other thing about this film, there's only really two noticeable female faces in this film. We've got quite a few female extras. Fucking hell. You've got Charlotte Riley playing Nance, who is basically just, I tell you what, why don't you just try and be a man? Just play a man, it's fine.
She's basically playing Budget Vasquez.
Yeah. With some weird, I mean, this woman's from London. fuck knows what accent she's making, and they just
Yeah,
put
it's a strange accent.
a
For sure.
load of chew in her mouth as well. Just have it on one side of your mouth, and then obviously you've got Emily Blunt who's playing Rita, and then you just got all the other.
But
So
in fairness,
I'm
if
not
you're
too
only
sure
gonna
I'd
have,
believe. I'm not too sure I'd believe if they walk through the door, mate.
I just my issue is like I just don't know what the downside is for him just to be like, all right, he's got so many of these tricks on board. He's aware of that machine, and obviously they've had those conversations about the possibilities of this actually being a thing, and then he can come in and do all these. He knows all these things, blah blah blah. I'm just like, dude, just let it go. Like, I just don't know why him leave. Like, if it's bullshit and he leaves, it's just like, what's the worst thing that can happen? But anyway, besides the point, I know
Because
what you
he
mean about
doesn't like his face. I wouldn't believe him.
yeah,
Tom Cruise could be the only one
mhm.
reliving the day in real life, and he'd come up to me and say, "The only way to save the world is for you to believe me. The world's going to end."
Yeah. Well, in fairness, you do dislike him that much,
Yeah,
to a strange degree, I might add. The amount you hate Tom Cruise is bizarre, but
he and Brendan Gleeson apparently.
apparently so. But
Yeah.
to bring it back to Emily Blunt, I don't think she gets enough credit for this film because I think Rita or Full Metal Bitch, whatever you want to call it, is legitimately one of the great female action leads of all time. And make no mistake, she's like not quite the co-lead, but you look at the posters, they're both right up there. It isn't like, oh, this is a Tom Cruise movie and Emily Blunt is in it. You look at all the posters, they're both front and center. Her introduction is fucking amazing. The Buster Sword, like out of Final Fantasy VII, is totally iconic. And I'm like, why isn't she in the same kind of category or talked about in this? And I'm not putting her on the same pedestal as Sigourney Weaver and Linda Hamilton, but she's in that same conversation as Uma Thurman, Kate Beckinsale, Mila Jovovich. I'm just not sure why her character just doesn't get talked about in the same kind of breath. It was strange because I saw an interview.
She gets overshadowed. She gets. She's relived her. She's done her day. She's done her action set pieces. Again, she gets overshadowed by the fact that the days are being relived by Tom Cruise. She constantly has to be saved by Tom Cruise. What she's not your female action lead. He's the old soldier that teaches you what to do, which is usually a male-dominated.
Yeah. It's a gender
male-dominated role.
For sure.
So it's the world-weary guy who did it before and is going to show you what to do. But this time it's reversed. It's her who's doing it. So she's not your but she's not your hero. She's not your female action hero. She is your wise sage. He's the guy. The guy. She's the person that leads you down the path you need to go.
Yeah. I still think like aesthetically, like she's super iconic in this film.
Oh, I agree. She's super iconic.
Yeah.
Using that sword that's basically a rotor blade.
That's awesome.
Is great. Like her look is fantastic. You look at the way she moves in the armor that she has with the rotor blade. She looks fantastic. You look at the way fucking Cage moves, and it's all clunky. Even when he's meant to be the greatest soldier because he's done it 1,000 times, he still looks clunky because that armor is clunky. And she looks graceful as fuck in it.
Yeah, she does. But that's when the, I guess, question of this film is like, you say like he's done it 10,000 times. It's like, how many times has he actually done it? Because in the book, I think KG. So the book, it's basically, they keep referring to it as a light novel everywhere. I don't want it be a novella, but anyway, whatever it is. But Hiroshi Sakurazaka. In the book, the lead character is named.
Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? It's pretty tricky. Where is it? KG, who later gets his name changes to K. He's known as something Cage at the end of the book, and that's where they obviously took Tom Cruise's name from. But in the book, he only relives the day 160 times. But the difference being, he's not like a nobody. He's just like a low-level soldier in the novel. But he lives at 160 days. Rita lives her loop for 211 days. Now, in the movie, we find out Rita lives her loop at least 300 days because she references obviously watching that guy die. We never quite find out with Tom Cruise, but seeing that he's starting from scratch, I was trying to figure out the best way to kind of get a ballpark figure on how long he was in there. So the 10,000 hour rule, you may have heard of this, was popularized in Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, which references the Beatles. And basically, it's built around the suggestion that it takes 10,000 hours to achieve world-class expertise in any field. So that's 416 days. That's to get really good. But then the question is, how many days does it take to execute on top of that? So in my mind, I'm like, all right, it takes that long to get really good. Then on top of that, you've got like a handful of things which you need to successfully execute within the time limit, even with the skill set. I'm thinking times that by 3, that gives you 1,200 days or 3 years and 2 months. Now, I've heard crazy figures, people talking about like thousands of years. I don't buy into that because he wears it on his face, but I think he would go mental long before that. I can buy
What's
into a world where he's in the loop for 3 years.
so? What is it in Groundhog Day?
Hmm.
Harold Ramis said that he lived 10,000 years. Apparently, was it 10,000? There was something stupid like that.
That's a
So
lot. But
yeah,
I
that's a
guess
lot.
but he has the opportunity, he's not going to battle every day. He's not having to fight through alien
Yeah,
hordes and stuff and die
I
every
mean, all he's
single
got to
day.
do is go to sleep. Tom Cruise has to die, which is going to take it out. Like, does he wake up hurt? I don't think he does.
No,
Which
no, no, he
after a while,
doesn't.
you got to think, all right, mate. Initial shock, somebody shot you in the head or something, but you're
Mhm.
waking up fine. So stop worrying about it after the fourth time.
Oh,
Every
I
time
don't
he
know.
wakes up, he's like, "Ugh," and it's like, why?
Come on, man. All right, you see him die on screen 26 times, and you've got to remember he dies in a unique way every time. I don't
Yeah.
think that's just one of the things you casually get used to, getting
Oh,
shot in the
after,
face.
after reliving and knowing that mate, after
Dude,
knowing that you're gonna wake up,
no, no, no. Right, put it this way.
yeah,
This
no
is the closest
bullshit.
thing I can get to it. It's not bullshit at all. If you, right, when was the last time you went to the optician?
What, a year ago now, probably.
Right. Did they do the air test on your eye?
Yeah, and no, I didn't flinch.
You are full of
No,
fucking
I'm not.
shit. You
No,
are
I'm
full of
not.
shit. It is
No, I'm not.
impossible not to flinch. I
No,
know it's
it's not.
coming and you still flinch. You
No.
you're like the one person on earth who doesn't flinch to the fucking air test in the eye. You are so full of shit. I just don't believe you. I just do not believe you at all.
No, I'm sorry. After a couple of times, he knows he's going. He might as well just get over it.
I don't think it works like that. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and saying getting shot in the
Oh,
face is
but
going to
of
make
course,
you flinch.
but of course you will. Like you've worked out all of that, right?
Mhm,
But you didn't. I'm pretty sure somebody's already worked all that out. You could have Googled it, but
mhm,
you Googled because me and you off pod have talked about the ending of this film.
mhm.
You Googled and gave me an explanation for a Tom Cruise apologist for why he gets to relive an extra day because of
Mhm.
the fucking Omega. But no, just to prove, oh, Tom Cruise does get to live, but nobody's gone online to prove how many days it is. The fucking
Well,
pseudoscience
there's
that you
no
showed
there's
me for why he relives is bullshit.
you're getting very okay. If we're going to talk about the ends, and we'll kind of reverse from there at some point, but I'm not. The difference is I'm not as upset by the final. You're talking about the very ending. So when basically the
Well, he
Omega
goes
dies
back
and he comes back.
further than he did. He goes back further
No, that makes
than he.
sense. That
It
makes sense.
doesn't.
No, it makes perfect sense because basically you're resetting 24 hours. He doesn't go into the next day. The stuff in Paris happens the day before the beach stuff. So if he's resetting it, he resets it 24 hours before there. So he would be on the plane rather than in the barracks. So that makes
No,
perfect sense.
no,
You can't just say no.
no,
I've just
no.
explained how it makes sense.
Yeah, but you're going to explain the other thing with that pseudoscience that you're going to say it now, and that's
No, right,
bullshit. The whole fucking blowing up and the grenade shit and all that is fucking bullshit. All right,
right.
I'll give you the 24 hours. It's
Okay,
wrong
right. And
because
just
24.
I.
No, but when he dies, it's
Mhm, mhm.
dark. When he comes back to life, it's daylight. How is that 24 hours?
Well, he's just on the plane. I
No, no,
guess
no, no,
yeah,
no.
you
You
can.
said 24 hours.
Well, it's something like 24. If it is 24 hours, yeah, that is something you could pick a hole in. But it's just like, what do you want him back in bed before he jumps out? It's like, I guess that's a
I
narrative
want
thing.
him
But
to have died. I don't
I
want him
get
to go back
that.
24 hours. I want him to have, not because it's Tom Cruise. I
Mhm,
don't
mhm.
want that
I get
fucking
it.
happy and making a change. FYI, my hates, FYI, it all comes down
Oh
to
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
fact
yeah.
they based it on a happy ending because
Mhm,
Tom
mhm.
Cruise can't allow himself to be fucking killed on screen permanently.
Listen,
Permanently.
I'm not like dying on this hill at all. Like I think he should have died. I think in the novel, actually, he lives in the novel, but one of them has to die. So Rita dies, but they kind of make sense of it in the book. In the movie, I think you can make sense of it. However, it is a cop out. I am agreeing with you that it's a cop out. Now, the closest thing I could find to like rather than me try and explain it, I'm going to read something out,
I
and
will let you read it out. I won't interrupt, but I call
and just
bullshit.
be clear, like this isn't for you. this, because I'm not going to convince you. This is for people listening who might have an interest to see, oh, how does it make sense? So a loop was created when the alpha blood leaked into Tom Cruise initially. The Omega was affected by this specific loop because it no longer had the ability to reset the day. Sergeant Cage did. It even says in the movie that the Omega starts hunting you after so many resets because only one being can have the ability at a time. Any other loops created by the Omega, it was not inside of, which is how it retained information to plan attacks over and over again to assure victory every time. Once that power was taken away by Cage initially, the Omega was also stuck in that loop, not retaining any new knowledge past that day. So when Cage killed the Omega at the end of the movie and obtained its powers, he reset time beyond the point of his loop, which was far enough back to where the Omega was no longer inside any of the loops, permanently removing it from existing while changing the events of time. When the Omega had the abilities, picture the space-time continuum as a bubble, and the Omega is floating on the outside of the bubble. Its timeline was not affected no matter what happened inside the bubble. But when Cage had the powers and he was on the outside of the bubble, the Omega was affected by the timeline whenever it was reset. I'm on board with that so far. So Cage exited the loop by getting the blood transfusion, giving the power back to the Omega, and also removing it from the loop again. So when the Omega was killed at the end of the movie, it was permanent because it was back on the outside of the loop. Time did not affect its outcome. So in order to keep it like that, Cage went back to the point where the Omega was still outside of the loop, but everyone else was, bringing back everything except for the one thing that wasn't affected by time, the Omega. If it had gone back to the previous day from the first loop, the Omega would have still been alive because it was inside that loop. I know this sounds complicated, but if you think about it, it really starts to make sense. Again, I just want to be clear. This isn't for Rob. It's not going to convince him. And it's timey-wimey bullshit. If I really think about it, I can make sense of it. But that doesn't mean that's how the end should have been. So I'm meeting you halfway here.
Okay.
I think Christopher McQuarrie's done just enough to make it make sense. And his argument, which I don't agree with at all, is that he felt that the movie always had to end back on the helicopter because he wanted to feel like you couldn't tell.
I know you're trying to justify it. I just want to finish this point. Where in the film was any of that explanation? Where in the film were the scientists to say they know exactly how the Omega works? Okay. Where in the film were anybody to go, oh yeah, we know all about this with the bubble and all of this? Fucking
no. Nobody explains
it's all absolute bullshit.
I don't think it's bullshit. I think
it is bullshit. It's people guessing because they want Tom Cruise to have lived as well. He shouldn't have lived. He should have sacrificed.
I agree with you.
Dave's daughter is 10 years old. She watched this film.
There's two. You're getting caught up in as being this is like me versus you, black and white.
No. I
agree with you.
I'm not getting caught up with me versus you. You're the person I'm looking at. I'm getting caught up in the fact that it needed a pasted-on ending and it didn't. He should have blew it up. It should have moved on, and nobody should have known what was going on. You've got Tom Cruise, who's relived the day again, so knows what's happening. So he can die and relive that day over and over again. That's what it ends with him still having these magic powers.
I don't even think it ends
with
with that. I think it just ends with him dead. I think it just ends with him and the Omega dead and the bubble's finished.
Yeah, it should have dead and moved on, and nobody knows what's happened. But what I'm saying is the film did end with him having these magic powers. Okay? Well, Dave's daughter is 10 years old. She watched this film. She watched the film all the way through. At the end of the film, she turned around to Dave going, what was that ending? Like, even she doesn't... A 10-year-old girl who believes that fucking Santa still comes down the chimney. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this podcast. It is turning around and questioning it because, and this is what angers me so much. It's such a good film. It's an all right film going up until that point. And then you have, and they realize that, oh, fuck, the ending we're doing is shit. They made everything dark so you couldn't see it, which
that's
is
my issue. Yeah, that's my issue with my issue with the film. Is different to yours. Like I can get they've kind of copped out by making sure that Tom Cruise survives the end. I think there's just enough information in the film for it to make sense if you wanted to. I don't
think there is, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's. But like I said,
that's besides the point. That like you said, I agree with you that they should have. I think it would have been a much cooler, much more dramatic ending if they both die, saving the day, and it cuts to like all of a sudden the Omega's dead. They've won the war, and literally nobody knows why. And he's like this silent hero.
Sorry, just give me 2 secs, right?
Yeah, no, it's
With
not.
that ending, you've got it's so dark. You've convinced J Squad to be cannon fodder.
Hmm.
Okay, that came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, oh yeah, J Squad have been dicks to me because J Squad are just reliving this day. Now they all believe him and they're going to go to their death because they believe him after meeting him 2 hours ago.
I think again, though, I think you're underestimating the impact
Oh
of
yeah,
Rita in this situation.
yeah, no, but I don't know if I am. Maybe for the soldiers, I agree, but I
Mhm.
still don't know. I'm not a soldier. I don't have that, that mentality to at this moment in time to think, oh, if this guy come up to me and tell me he's reliving a day and this is how we stop it, I'll follow him. I'm not too sure. Maybe I will, maybe
Well,
I
I
won't.
think it's
But
that
I
because
can't see.
they make it very specific in the film. Like he comes in, and they've obviously already
Yeah,
thought of
sorry,
this.
hang on 2 seconds because I
Go
still
for
need
it.
to get to that point. So I have to interrupt you because
Yeah, no,
you'll
it's
go
fine.
on to another point. 20 that last 20 minutes, the darkness of it all is
Hmm.
pointless. You can't see what's going on. You can't see what they're sacrificing their lives for. They get
Hmm.
to the Louvre. He manages to do his Tom Cruise magic breath thing, hold his breath for a long period of time, drop grenades in water so
Hmm.
they sink quite fast. Okay, that's fine. They blow up the Omega. Then he
Hmm.
goes back further than he has been before. I'll give you the 24
Hmm.
hours.
Hmm.
He has this magic power. He can relive the day. So if he's fallen in love with Rita because he's lived 1,000 days, Rita doesn't know him. So he can now, if it goes wrong with introducing Rita, he can kill himself and relive that day again, and basically convince this woman, like,
I don't think he's going to do
whatever.
that.
No, yes, he
Hmm.
will because he was a fucking jackass at the beginning of this film.
Yeah,
He's
but
finished
yeah,
it.
I think he's a
I
very
don't
different
know.
person
Yeah,
by the
but
end.
it's I don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly
I think
think
there's an
he
argument as
should.
well.
I honestly think he should have died. He should, and I agree.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah,
agree with me
yeah.
on that one. No, and I'm not arguing this point at you. This film has made me. This film has made me animated. This ending has really upset me and made me animated, and I need to get it out in this platform.
It's strange
But
because
sorry, but just one more thing, and then I'll let you go on. He should have died, as we've said 3 times, and it should have been just. But the problem is, when he's died, then J Squad has died. Nobody knows where J Squad have gone. J Squad have just disappeared, and all of a sudden they're dead. But if the day relives, J Squad are back because. But I don't think that should have happened. I
No,
think,
Jay Squad to be back. Jay Squad to be fine. The same
but
as
no,
Rita.
but J Squad are fine. But are they though? If he's
Yeah, yeah.
still, if
Because they
he's
were in the
killed,
bubble. They were in that time
but
bubble that he would
that's
have
the thing. But
created.
that's what I'm saying. If he's killed the Omega,
Mhm.
it shouldn't have gone back in time. It should have just moved on to the next day. The Omega died just out of
Yeah, but the
nowhere.
Omega lost the power, so it's just dead. But anyway, we won't get caught up in arguing the kind of semantics, the time of all that stuff, because you can drive
What do you
yourself
mean we
crazy.
won't do? We just got caught up in it for the last 20
Yeah, I
minutes.
know, but that's what I mean. We could talk about it for another hour and keep arguing back and forth, and we're not going to really get anywhere. And especially we're coming from completely different directions as well. And my point is largely is that with the ending, yeah, sure, it's a cop out, blah blah blah. My issue with the ending isn't so much that; it's what you were talking about beforehand. It's the fact that the last action sequence is easily the weakest in the film. Easily the weakest in the film. The whole section going to the Louvre. The reason that this film largely holds up wonderfully, it's like what, 11 years old now. I mentioned in the intro, Doug Lyman shot a lot, as much on screen as he could. Obviously, he had to use some blue screen. Obviously, the aliens themselves, the mimics, are CG. But a lot of the explosions you see, they're all real explosions. It's the reason everything feels tangible, everything feels lived in and worn. Even the stuff when they go out into the countryside in France, it still all looks fantastic there. And then suddenly you get the Louvre, and I get it. You can't go to the fucking Louvre and blow the motherfucker up. And it was I think we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. It's the same problem they had with Captain America. So, we always seem to use this example. I think it's just because it's fresh in our heads. They have all this like great CG, and then all of a sudden, because they obviously can't go to the White House and shoot, they shoot a real location in CG, totally in CG, and it looks ass. And it's the same here. And they try and get around it by creating sets, but it suddenly looks stagey. I'm not sure if you had the same impact, but there was a bit in the lead up to the Louvre. To me, it just looked like Gears of War. Everything looked like a perfectly placed mid-height kind of, something you could kind of get in behind for an
It all
action
feels like
sequence.
Gears of War with the armor, with the guns. It all feels like
Yeah, but
Gears
it
of War.
actually felt,
Gears of
and I
War.
know
Yeah.
this is weird for a movie which is fundamentally video gamey in its structure, but that sequence in particular looked like a video game, and I didn't think it was
Yeah.
good. And I really didn't like the way that sequence looked, in particular, in the way it was put together. And to your point,
Well,
it's like, sorry, go
all
for
the
it.
action's done in the day, and then this is just done in dark, and it's so dark, and
Yeah, it's
it's like
grim.
Game of Thrones when they do the they finally
Battle of Bastards.
Yeah, no, not Battle of Bastards. The other one where they battle the Ice King, Ice Queen, whatever the
Oh
fuck
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
whatever. I
Uh,
always mix them up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that thing was so dark. And I don't understand why you have these action set pieces and you make it too dark that nobody can see what's going on. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
very odd to me.
strange. I wonder if they rushed it because I know they had to come back for reshoots and stuff. But it's like you say, it's a shame when obviously I like this movie more than you. Like regardless of the ending, like we both come in like we like this movie to one extent or
Yeah, yeah,
another up
yeah.
until a point, and then it goes off the deep end for for different reasons. And you obviously you can't deal with not deal with you hate the fact that they bring Cruise back, and I totally understand that. I just hate the fact that it's just a poor looking part of an
I
otherwise
will
gorgeous looking film.
I will preface this. It's not because it's Cruise, okay?
No, no, I get
It's
it.
not
I
because
totally get it. Yeah.
I mean, at the top of my head, because Doug Liman, I'm going to go Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake
Hmm.
Gyllenhaal could have been in this film, and if all of a sudden he's reliving the day,
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that ending is pointless. I recently watched Roadhouse when we are talking about Doug Liman, so Jake
Oh
Gyllenhaal
yeah,
was
yeah,
in my
yeah.
head.
Well, he
Uh,
also did. Thinking, speaking of like timey-wimey films, around the same time, he did Source Code, didn't he? By David Bowie's son, the guy who did Moon. What's his name?
oh, Jake
Zowie
Gyllenhaal,
Bowie.
not Doug Liman. You mean Jake Gyllenhaal did
Jake
Source Code?
Gyllenhaal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did
yeah.
Source Code. What's the name of the director? Because he did Moon, and it's I know it's is really like he was it Zowie Bowie? I think he was called initially. But anyway,
Zoe Bowie.
well,
Uh,
it's, what we
Duncan
can get them.
Jones, you mean?
Duncan Jones, yeah, he changed
Yeah.
his name from Zowie Bowie.
Well, I
But
wonder
yeah,
why.
yeah, I know, right? But yeah, Doug Liman's like, where the hell's Duncan Jones gone, man? Was Warhammer that bad? I thought Warhammer was fine. He said like
Did he do
Roadhouse.
Warhammer?
Yeah, yeah, he did Warhammer,
Huh.
which I thought was okay. I thought was
Yeah.
like as far as like video game movies go, there has been worse, and it actually didn't flop because it did really well in China. It was similar to this movie actually, the fact that it was considered a disappointment because it didn't make like 700-800 million, but it did decent
So
enough business.
can I just
Yeah, go
because
for it.
people are telling us off? You mean Warcraft, yeah?
Yeah, well, what did I say?
Warhammer.
Oh, sorry, Warhammer, Warcraft. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, sorry.
because Warhammer is what's his name wants to do at the moment,
Henry
isn't there?
Cavill. That's the
Henry
one with the little
Cavill.
figures. No,
Yeah,
Warcraft
yeah.
is the kind of
The video
monthly
game.
subscription video game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But it's weird that we've hardly mentioned video games because it's weird that structurally, like this is basically roguelike the movie.
So
That
that's
idea
what
that
I
you just keep
wanted,
starting at the start,
and that's
and
what I
every
wanted to
time you
say.
get a little bit further, you get a little bit more skill, but you have to keep going back to the start. There's no chance of you completing it on the first go because you just don't have the skill set, but eventually you'll get there by sheer perseverance.
And that's where I love that Doug Liman did it. He made it feel like respawning events. Every time you
Mhm.
die, you respawn somewhere else. You're a little bit more knowledgeable to
Yeah.
do it. You understand a bit more to move forward. I thought that
Mhm.
was great, and that's where it feels like a video game, definitely.
I really do. And the other thing, I
Yeah,
guess, like the other comparison would be like a Souls-like, which isn't quite a roguelike because in that you kind of save it like, further into the game. So you don't keep going right back to the start. But I mean, they were so aware of it that because everyone knows Elden Ring, FromSoft games, and Dark Souls and stuff. But there was actually one called The Surge, which was like one of the first Souls-likes to copy the From Software kind of structure. And it's basically just this. It's basically, it's a guy in like the big exoskeleton suits and all that jazz, which was all the rage around this time because this came out a year after. What was the one with Matt Damon, Elysium?
yeah, yeah.
Which, oh god, I wanted to fucking love that film. I thought I was so convinced I was going to love Elysium. It
Again,
ticked all the boxes, and I was just like, it's just not as good as I want it to be.
again, that film was a game of two halves. It was all right for
It
the
really
first
was.
half, and then
Yeah,
so
totally is.
sorry. Just going to back to Duncan Jones. You said where is he? So he did Mute.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that didn't go down well at all. Did
no,
it?
no, it didn't go down well. So that was he did that 2018,
Yeah.
and he has directed a film that's in post production at the moment, Rogue Trooper,
Oh, based on the comic book.
2000 AD comic book. Yeah, so like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Judge Dredd
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
2000 AD. Uh,
Blue
so but
motherfucker.
it's funny. I want to yeah, exactly the blue motherfucker. I don't understand who's playing the Rogue Trooper and what kind of film it's going to be because it doesn't say anything about it. But the
Hmm.
cast:
Hmm.
Haley Atwell,
That's a good start.
Jermaine Clement,
Hmm.
Sean Bean, Matt Berry, and Asa Butterfield. Now, none of these feel like Rogue Trooper to me.
I would love just Sean doing it and constantly saying bastard in a really
Yeah,
northern accent.
yeah.
These bloody bastards all over the place. I can't remember.
So
Is Rogue Trooper? Is he British? I assume he's American, right?
it's 2000 AD in it, so it is a
He's
British
British,
comic.
yeah. Yeah,
Comic.
is the
Yeah.
character supposed to be? If
So
the character's supposed to be British, maybe it will be Sean Bean just saying bastard all the time. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's based on the sci-fi strip of the British comic 2000 AD. It follows the adventures of Rogue, a genetically engineered blue-skinned super soldier, and his three comrades. So, search for the traitor general. No, sorry. As I go down the cast list, the Rogue Trooper is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, ninth build.
Jesus Christ, awesome.
And Anurin Bernard, never heard of him. If I'm
Sounds
honest with you.
Welsh.
Yeah. Oh, he's been in Dunkirk, The Goldfinch. So he's had a couple of acting
Oh,
credits.
fair
Oh,
enough.
fucking,
Well,
he's had 60 acting credits. Sorry, a
to
couple.
bring it back to this movie, I mean, we mentioned the fact that it made 370, which is fine, but seen as a bit of a disappointment. One of the reasons that this was seen to have failed was because of the utterly mental naming convention. So the book it's based on was called, what was it? It was not Live, Die, Repeat. It was All You Need Is Kill.
All you need is kill. Yeah.
Then it was Live, Die, Repeat. Then they changed it to Edge of Tomorrow, which isn't actually it sounds generic, but for this film, it kind of makes sense. But then they changed it back to Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. But now, if you Google it, it just comes up as Edge of Tomorrow. So I literally don't know what this movie is called officially. I have no fucking idea. But I was like, are there other movies with such mental naming conventions? And I know there have been series, like Rambo has gone mental naming conventions. It's one of those things we've become accustomed to. But First Blood Part 1, First Blood Part 2, Rambo, Rambo 3, and then Rambo. It's fucking mental. Fast and Furious, we won't go through all of them. Crazy. Star Wars has actually got pretty crazy naming conventions. Funny enough, another Tom Cruise collection of movies, Mission Impossible films were Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, everyone's on board. And then all of a sudden it was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. They just did away with the numbers. And then even the most recent ones, it was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. But because that didn't do quite as well as they wanted it to.
This is final.
We've cut that away. So now it's Final Reckoning. And if you buy a DVD or anything and you go back to Dead Reckoning, now the Part 1 has disappeared. So they've gone fucking mental with the naming conventions. But I can't think of a movie where its actual name has just been changed like 3 times during the time it came out. I don't think it did it any favors, put it that way.
Have you seen what the possible sequel is going to be called?
No, and I hope there is a sequel because I love this film.
Well, possible sequel. Apparently, it's in production.
Yeah.
In development, sorry, not in production.
With Doug Liman, yeah?
Yeah. As producer, maybe as director as well, I'm not too sure. But the sequel at the moment is going to be called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
I'm all for it. I'm fucking all for it. I say go silly with the title, but like as long as Doug Liman's involved. But Doug Liman himself is a strange director. So you mentioned you watched Roadhouse recently, which I thought was perfectly decent. Again, I like crazy about the ending.
I like it.
No, I thought it was good. But he did Roadhouse, he did American Made, he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was a massive hit. He did Swingers, and he did Bourne Identity. But he also did Jumper, The Wall, Chaos Walking, and Justice. He's had one of those like really weird careers where if you say Doug Liman, I feel like most people who are into films know his name, but would struggle to maybe pick out a movie he's directed. And he's like, it's just his whole output has just been this mixed bag. And I know, like I said, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was inarguably his biggest hit. But yeah, just
did you mention
kind of oddly patchy career?
Did you mention Chaos Walking by any chance? Sorry,
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was a fucking that was a hard film to watch.
I've never seen it. Is it? I heard it's not great, so that's the reason I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a hard film to watch.
just leave it out. Yeah.
Speaking of hard films to watch, I tell you what I did watch today. Changing the subject was I finally managed to make it through the latest Hellboy.
Oh, mate, I tried. It's terrible. I remember I said like the trailer. I was like, there was fucking red lights all over that trailer.
Yeah.
I started watching it and I was like, oh, I think it's worse than I thought. It's just bad, man.
I liked the credit, the lack of credits. It just went straight into Hellboy, straight into the action, straight into. I thought all that was good, but then as soon as it got to the like off the train and got into the Appalachian Mountains, it started to feel like a made for TV, a made for YouTube fan film, right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, but then, so you didn't make it to the Crooked Man himself, did you?
No.
Imagine if they dressed up a proper sized man, 5'8", 5'9", as the Leprechaun.
Oh God, it's grim, isn't it? And the thing is, right? I'm a fan like the best directors out there can take a small budget and they can make it work. And one of
Yeah.
and we've talked about in this podcast before, and this scales this conversation all the way up to God knows how much. It's knowing the limitations of your budget. And being like, listen, we can put this up on screen, but it's going to look like ass. So we need to scale this back, or we can't make this character look convincing with the amount of money we've got. So we're not going to show it all that much. We'll do it in shadow. We'll do something clever. It's like with the Jaws is the perfect example. The shark didn't work, so it's just like, I'm not going to show the shark. That's a lesser director would be like, oh, we've spent this money, the shark's going up on screen. Of course, in the end, it worked out perfectly. But too many of these directors, they're just like, they don't have the budget, and nobody's willing to step in and be like, dude, that looks like ass. We've got to get that off the screen. We can make it work. We're just gonna have to take it in a slightly different direction. And as soon as I saw that spider fight on the train, I was like, oh, they're putting the fucking bullshit CG all up on screen, and it just does. It was like we talked when we did Tron Legacy. That was a film which cost a fortune. No one was willing to come in and say, listen, the CG face, it doesn't work. Like the rest of the movie looks fucking amazing. The CG face, it doesn't work. Shoot from behind. You can still have the character shooting, have him in a mask for most of the film. You could have one still of his face. As long as he's not talking, it's when their lips move. That's when it's fucked. You could have taken the mask off. You see it's a younger version of him. It looks kind of cool. And then the mask goes back up. It saves you 60 million and the film still looks fucking amazing, but no one's willing to say it. And it's a shame when that happens.
So the director, Brian Taylor, he's tried something here that he
tried. He just,
well, no, he tried to, because I'll give you his other credits in a second, right? And I know this is the Edge of Live, Die, Repeat podcast, but
the Edge of Live, Die, Repeat. I wouldn't be surprised if it was called that at some point, to be honest.
But he tried to go away from his norm. Now he's only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films before. I say only done. He's done 5 more than I have. But so he started in 2006. He directed Crank.
Crank's good.
Yeah. Then he did
Jason
Crank
Statham
2.
one.
Yeah. Then he did Crank 2.
Crank 2's got maybe the greatest tagline of all time. He died, but he got better. Like, dude, I mean, it's better than the movie, but what a fucking tagline.
So he did Crank 2. He did Gamer.
That was okay.
Yeah. Ghost Rider 2.
That was bad. That was quite bad.
Yeah. Then he did Mum and Dad. Do you remember that with Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage, where all the parents have gone nuts and want to kill their kids?
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he directed a couple. He directed a couple of episodes of Happy, which is such a good TV show. If you've never seen it, I fucking love Happy.
Yeah, for some reason I never went back to it, but what I saw of it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then he did Hellboy: The Crooked Man.
This is honestly, that was surprising. I thought you were going to do like the classic Rob list and tell me like 5 films nobody but you and like 3 other of our listeners have heard of, and I was just like, no, all those films are like pretty. But like Crank was a big hit. Crank 2, even like Ghost Rider 2. It wasn't a great film, but it looked cool. Like I thought they got the aesthetic right.
There you go. So you said none of our listeners, me and maybe 2 or 3 listeners have heard of. I got to shout out Stephen Dunn, who apparently does the same as me and watches every movie sequel ever made.
Yeah, there's always they always pipe up online, and I'm made to look like a cunt because I haven't seen Best of the Best 4. I'm like, fucking give me a break, man. I just watched Best of the Best again. It was fine. That's
Tommy Lee goes up against the Russians, mate. You got to do it.
I'm not sure if I need that in my life, to be honest.
Right, get back to this film. Sorry,
this film. I was going to say something.
What did you think? All right, what are you thinking of it then? What did you think of the armor?
I thought the arm was amazing. Like I said,
thought the exoskeletons. I thought they were great. Like the arms that like did all the moving above and everything, and the way that gun slides off and becomes an automatic rifle when he's run out of battery. I think that's done really well. I really liked the armor in this.
That's why I get upset by the ending, again, for a different reason to you, is because this film looks so good. And, because it's kind of got 1 foot in the present and, 1 foot in like traditional warfare, but you just have these cool exoskeleton suits. They don't waste any time over-explaining. They're just like, look, cool exoskeleton suits. They just have a few people do something awesome to give you an idea of how powerful they are, rather than needless exposition, which this film really, there are a few sequences, like with Rita and the scientist guy. He is literally just there to be an exposition sponge.
Yeah.
that's the only reason his character exists in the film. You do need it once or twice in the film. And if anything, that's when the film is at its weakest. Like when it just keeps to like the high concept stuff, and more specifically the relationship stuff, that's when it's at its best. Or when it's you are kind of put into that world. And when I say the world, they're just like, don't worry about everything that's going on in the wider world. All you need to know is they need to get this beach and look how fucking awesome it looks. And I keep coming back to the fact that Doug Liman used physical effects. It shows up on screen. So many modern movies, and I know I've complained about this on previous podcasts, look so benign and glossy, and I can't fucking stand it. And I always go back to like the latest Ghostbusters film. I fucking hated how that film looked. This film looks gritty and gross in all the best possible ways. This is like, for like, what, 30 minutes? A proper war movie. The only criticism I've heard, and it's not something I actually noticed till I read about it, is that to give it a kind of 12A rating, it pulls its punches from a violence perspective. So you see one or two slightly gross Tom Cruise deaths, but people have made the criticism that it's like, well, you never actually see any blood, so the impact is reduced. I didn't watch this film thinking, man, I wish I could see how he fucking died every time. Like, if you want to know what that looks like in when the tone isn't quite right, I loved the Tomb Raider reboot from like 2014, 15 or whatever.
The Alicia Vikander one.
No, the video game. Sorry,
the video game. Sorry,
the Crystal Dynamics one. So
the
one from when they did like a new trilogy in like the Xbox One.
Yeah. Oh, when she dies. Oh,
when she dies, and you'd like, it's so violent. And it's right. At first, it shocks you. You're like, oh, well, it's showing you the impact of death and stuff. Because it's a video game, when it's like the 7th, 8th, 9th time, I'm like, I do not need to see Lara get fucking impaled to see her head get crushed. It just didn't fit. And I think it'd be the same with this film. It's like, yeah, I need to see the impact of the war and stuff, but I don't need to see limbs flying or anything like that. I don't think it's that kind of movie.
Maybe you should have been better and not leading it to a death. Just saying.
Maybe. Although I guess my big question, because the one thing you can't get away from, when you have all the physical effects, is the fact that the mimics are largely CG. Now they are very distinct. I don't think there's any other alien quite like them in cinema history. Maybe I found them slightly forgettable from a design perspective, if truth be told. That was one of my few issues. And maybe if they had been practical, if you compared, like, the obvious comparison is maybe what's the film where everyone has to be fucking quiet?
Quiet Place.
Is it really called The Quiet Place? That was a proper Homer Simpson movie. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down. Yeah, so The Quiet Place. Like, those I thought were the more effective version of mimics, basically. If you forget the whole fact that they're blind and by sound,
the problem
those seem terrifying. In this, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of scary, but they're a bit too busy to be genuinely scary.
The problem is, I couldn't have picked out of a lineup the difference between an alpha and a beta or whatever they were.
One's slightly blue and I'm the same. That was one of the things I was just like, from a CG perspective, they look fine. I just think the actual design is slightly forgettable. So, as much as I love this film, it does have its problems, but and sometimes it's almost more annoying when you get a movie which is so close to being like a perfect popcorn movie, but it just drops the ball here and there, and especially, as we've already mentioned, if it's the ending, it sticks with you, doesn't it? You can't help it, and obviously it's really stuck with you, and it's hard to shake. It's like, and if anything, the rest of the film becomes more disappointing because, like, God, this is fucking good. I know where it's going though. It's going to an ending I don't fucking like. So yeah, it's a bit of an issue. But
two things before we move on about J Squad. First of all, do you know the guy that didn't talk much? So they didn't say his name, did they? Because he didn't talk much, but he is credited. Do you know what he's credited as?
No idea.
Kuntz.
Kuntz?
Kuntz.
Oh, so he's German.
He plays Kuntz. Well, he's not German, is he? When he finally speaks, it's British.
You could have German ancestry, like the guy who scored against England in like '96. I think he was called Kuntz. So they are out there.
He probably is Kuntz, yeah, but it's Kuntz.
It's Kuntz. Oh yeah. If you're in the army and you're with other people, you're being called Kuntz. Yeah. Make no mistake. I thought they were cool, and they were good. Like, you actually notice when you rewatch this film, the cast is super small, small. Yeah. There's like fucking 12 people in this film. Like, there's a few extras and stuff, but in terms of anyone of any note, there's like 12 people, which again I think is important to keep the runtime down.
The only other thing to mention: did you recognize the larger dude, the one who liked to fight naked, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that too, Jay. Yeah.
So I had recognized him. I mean, he's a staple of British TV, but he's in that Ricky Gervais, who is another guy I don't want to
Mhm.
see uh, come back once he dies. In Afterlife,
Yeah, yeah,
he's the
yeah, yeah. He
cameraman
was
in
phenomenal.
Afterlife. Yeah,
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like I know I've
yeah,
seen him in a million things, but I couldn't remember. And that's one of the things like we probably not failed to really mention is the fact that this film is like 9 times out of 10 shot in America. You know, the attack is like the fact that they even shot it in Britain and France. I just think is kind of cool. And
yeah.
obviously, it's a nod to World War II and blah blah blah. But they could have easily gone around that. But it gives it a unique aesthetic. Although one of the things, you know, I mentioned the fact that there are a few things that kind of put this at like 10, 11 years ago. One of the things is I guess you would call it the somewhat dulled color grading for this film. Like that was
Yeah.
just the style. Like, and this again, it comes back to the Gears of War thing. There was a while where around 2007, everything became very brown because of Gears of War, and then after that, you had this like very dull look to things, so they wouldn't turn up the color too much. And then just after this, you got stuff like remember Oblivion with Tom Cruise? That was
Yeah.
part of the whole iPhone generation of movies, and it was the same with J.J. Abrams' Star Trek film, where everything suddenly felt very white. Everything looked like a fucking iPhone store, everything, and it was just like this part of cinema for like 4 or 5 years. This was the diluted color grade kind of period, I suppose, which lasted for 4 or 5 years. It went into the iPhone era, and then we're just into whatever slop we get nowadays in modern blockbusters. Sadly.
I drove past the set for this, thinking about it. It just literally
Oh,
just came to
awesome.
my mind. Yeah, like something I just have never mentioned. In 2000, so they would have finished filming by now because it was
Mhm.
2014. I just started with a new team, and I had to go to training course. And my
Mhm.
training course was in just outside of London. And the building that I was being trained in
Mhm.
literally overlooked the Harry Potter Warner Brothers studios.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So I could look out and look at the three-tier bus.
yeah.
I think that's
Mhm.
got a special name. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, God knows, I'm
Uh,
sure it does.
yeah. So we could see the Harry Potter studios, but just before that, just before on the roundabout, there was a big ass like just stage. And I asked the
Mhm.
guy like what that stage was for. Was it a Harry Potter thing? He said no, that's where they filmed Live Die Repeat, the Tom
Oh,
Cruise
awesome.
film that's just
Yeah,
coming out.
yeah, yeah.
So I think I don't quote me that that's where they filmed the beach scene, but I think it was either
Mhm.
because it was outside. So it was either the beach scene or it was like that harbor, not the
Yeah,
harbor,
yeah, yeah. Got
the
you.
wherever he keeps meeting Rita in that
Mhm, mhm,
warehouse. So
mhm.
yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, just randomly drove past it. There
Oh,
you go.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
It's like as you say, you know, you can tell that everything is there for the most part. You know,
yeah,
what's the word I'm looking for? Tactile. This movie is very tactile
yeah.
until, as we said, the ending in Paris when it all kind of falls to pieces a little bit. But never mind. Sure, we'll get to that in Loves and Hates. In terms of favorite scene for this film, I mean, it's either the first beach attack, which I think is legitimately. I mean, I was waiting for it to not look awesome. It looks great, but it really could be any one of Cruise's interactions with Paxton. They're just all gold. So I'll go with one of those. Just maybe
Uh,
like the kind of third or fourth one we see when Paxton when he's like walking in and he's trying to convince everyone. I think that one's especially ace.
when when Tom Cruise gets run over,
That is
I
actually
think it's
really
great.
good.
When when he's doing the push-ups and he misjudges the roll
Is
and he
that the
rolls up,
worst
and
death?
it's the crunch, right?
Yeah.
And it's everyone because again it's Paxton where he goes, Jesus, what was he thinking?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That was a perfect example of like you didn't need to see him be run over. Like
Yeah,
less is more. Like it for one, and again, it leans into the fact that this film is secretly quite funny and self-aware. It's like, you know, Paxton gives that whole speech. It's like, oh, you know, you were baptized in fire and born again in the morning. It's basically just telling you the plot of the film. This film is incredibly well written by Christopher McQuarrie. And if you're not aware, Christopher McQuarrie is the guy who now directs all the Mission
yeah,
Impossible films. But yeah, that's a perfect sequence where they find comedy in the moment, and you can find comedy so much easier when you don't see him crushed by a fucking tire of a truck. The sound is enough. It's plenty gross. Your brain fills in the gaps just fucking fine. So yeah, awesome.
yeah. I like that. I thought
Uh,
that scene was good.
yeah, I shouldn't be surprised that your favorite sequence is Tom Cruise getting run over. You know, let's be honest.
Let's go to
I thought
loves.
this would
Let's
be
do
your
loves.
favorite film.
Let's do loves. Let's
He
do loves.
dies loads. I loves. Number one, both Cruise and Blunt are fantastic individually and together. I just think you know, I mentioned the fact that they understated the position as a great action lead, but I think their romance, which we've not mentioned, is not only brilliant in its own right, but Cruise has a long history of having zero fucking chemistry with his
Chemistry.
female
Yeah,
leads. I
yeah,
think they have fantastic chemistry. And you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, the way they play off, where he's obviously got this affection for her. she doesn't have the same affection for him because she's just reliving the moment. But she's also aware of the position he's in. She can empathize because she was on the other end of this. She's
Yeah.
obviously fallen in love with this other dude, and she's just had to keep watching him die. And she knows he's going through the same thing. And again, they don't overly explain that. It's just worn all over their faces. And when she kisses him at the end, it doesn't feel forced. It like it feels forced when they bring him back to life, blah blah blah. The kiss doesn't feel forced at all. I think their relationship is absolutely convincing, and a big part of it is just the fact that Cruise and Blunt are so fantastic in this film. Number two, Doug Liman's direction and
Fuck me, that
commitment
was
to
number
physical
one.
effects wherever possible. I know. Number three, the fantastic script by Macquarie, and I'm going to sneak in a fourth and fifth. Classic Paxton performance, just awesome. And five, just you never know how long he's been in the loop or stuck in any particular scene. They just kind of leave you to be like, it might be this long, but I think that's awesome. Those are my loves.
Yeah, so number one for me is Paxton. I think Paxton is great in this. I think he's having a good time. Number two is Emily Blunt. Again, she's having such a good time in this. And it's a stereotype figure that is usually played predominantly by males. So
100%,
the fact that it's a female, and she's loving it. So I totally agree.
And I tell you, one of the things, the reason it works so well, and the reason that like obviously things have become political nowadays. Anytime like a black character, female character, whatever, you always get like a certain group of people who kick off. But most level-headed people, it's like they'll point you towards the fact that it's like, well, nobody had an issue when Sigourney Weaver was the female lead. No one had an issue with Emily Blunt. And it's because they don't make it about gender politics. There's no point where it's just like, oh, I'm badass for a woman. She's just badass. She's just bad. She just happens to be a woman. And it's just never made a big deal of. And I think that's another great aspect of this film. They never turn it into, oh, she's amazing and she's a woman. It's like, no, she's just fucking awesome. That's fine. Get on with things.
Number three is the beach. I love the battle at the beach. I think it looks great. It's fucking bright for a start, so I can see what's going on. So
yeah, it's awesome.
I think the beach is great. And number four is the fact that Tom Cruise dies constantly.
It's fair enough. In terms of my hates, I mean, like I said, we have different opinions when it comes to the ending in terms of what's the bigger issue. But whichever way you look at it, the last act of this film is easily the weakest. There's no getting around it. Number two, and it's linked to the ending, the over-reliance on CG in Paris stands out all the more starkly given that the rest of the movie is so gorgeous to look at. And number three, Gleason's character is belligerent to the point of idiocy. I'm not having it. Like, why does he keep the doohickey in his office? I just think at some point you're just like, dude, just let him go out the fucking door. I'm just not.
I love how we're looking at the wrong thing, because to me that's trivial. But the ending is pointless. Like that thing to me is just trivial. Yeah, he kept it in his office and he didn't believe him.
That's like
I wouldn't believe him too. So I'm all right with him on that one. But so in regards to hates, the fact that Tom Cruise didn't have a permadeath, I don't like not Tom Cruise. So I keep saying Tom Cruise.
Cage.
Oh, Tom Cruise, his fucking ears must be burning. Cage didn't have a permadeath. It should have been he didn't relive it. That was fucking just pointless. The ending before that, the action sequences was all in dark. That just felt pointless again. Just couldn't see what was going on. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, like at one point, it's like I get like it had to happen, but I just
no, it had to happen. It
didn't look good.
Yeah,
no, it didn't.
It had to, but they could have made it better. And it
100%, 100%.
And number three was, as we've said about it, I couldn't differentiate the aliens.
Yeah, no,
you're talking to me about alpha and omegas and all this, and
like you can if you look up, because one is a slightly different color, but like you said, like at a glance, you just like they all look like quickly moving blobs. Like that's about it. So yeah, fair enough. Well, this is a weird one. Any alternative titles? Well, we already know a few, but God knows what they've got abroad. I still can't decide what the best title is. Is it Edge of Tomorrow? Is it Live, Die, Repeat? Or is it Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow? Or is it All You Need Is Kill? All You Need Is Kill is a bit too weird.
Well,
I think it's Live, Die, Repeat is the best one.
You're going to get a few. I think Edge of Tomorrow. I like Edge of Tomorrow. It's easy.
It is. It's a little bit generic.
Yeah. Azerbaijan, The Limit of the Future.
That's okay.
Yep. Bulgaria, On the Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Canada, A Day Without the Tomorrow. Obviously French Canada. Croatia, On the Brink of the Future.
These are all surprisingly decent.
Yeah. Estonia, On the Border of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Germany just went with what you wanted. Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat.
Oh, they've just done it the other way around.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Hungary, The Frontier of Tomorrow.
He sounds too much like a Western.
India is the Asylum movie. Age of Tomorrow, Day of Destruction.
No, I'm not feeling that one.
Of course, Japan one with All You Need Is Kill. It's a manga, of
Of
course.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Uh,
it's a book and a manga, isn't it? So it was first
yeah.
it was a book, then it was a manga, then it was a movie. Oh, okay, it's done the whole collection. Gamut,
Kazakhstan,
sorry, is the word I was looking for. Gamut.
Kazakhstan, Border of the Future.
Yeah,
Latvia, Tomorrow's Border.
no, that one doesn't work.
Romania, Edge of Tomorrow, Prisoner in Time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Serbia, On the Rupel Times.
Oh, it's got to be a translation issue.
Yeah. Spain, On the Edge of the Next Day.
It's definitely a vibe to these. It's all basically
Yep.
the same thing, isn't it?
Ukraine, On the Brink of the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Uzbekistan, just coming out of nowhere, The Scarlet Witch.
That's got to be, yeah, that's a mix.
Yeah.
There's something's gone wrong there.
And Vietnam, War of Reincarnation.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a bit different. I'll give him that one. See, again, it comes back to that whole idea that Edge of Tomorrow is inherently a little bit generic. So
Yeah.
that's why I think I prefer Live, Die, Repeat. It's just a bit different. And it tells you the whole story of the film. Any facts? Sorry, my apologies. That was where I usually step in.
Yep. Tom Cruise didn't want the exosuits to be too CGI, so it would be more real to the audience. He showed up 2 months early to research and develop the suit. Of course he did.
Of
He
course.
thought its weapons
how
were
do you-
fun and cool.
How do you
No,
not
no, no,
love
let me
that?
finish, let me finish,
How
let
do
me
you not
finish.
love that?
Let me finish. He thought its weapons were fun and cool. Emily Blunt was unprepared for the weight of the suit, which was between 85 to 90 pounds, and the armaments between 120 to 125 pounds.
It's a lot. That is a lot. But again, that's one of those things like, Cruise's commitment to these things where, it's all a bit silly and he is a psycho. But when you see it up on screen, there is the tangible
Hang on,
benefits of these things.
you're getting defensive of what I said when I said, of course he did, thinking that I meant there is a bad thing.
No. Just
No.
more in
So,
general when you because I know you're not a fan, but I'm just saying like
yes,
the positive
but
side
I'm not a
Cruise,
fan
that's
of
all.
Tom Cruise, but I do love the commit, like you said, to the stunts and everything like that.
Mhm.
Even though I've said before, he's doing all the stunts himself, and he's basically they had to shut down one of the films because he broke his ankle because he's too much. He can't let a stuntman do it. He's got to do it himself. So that
Awesome.
stuntman's out of money. It's not awesome because he shut it
It's
all down.
definitely awesome.
If the stuntman would have done it, fucking the film would have still
But
moved on. Instead, they
you
shut it down for 2
you don't
months.
get the same shot. You just do not get the same shot as a stuntman. And we've talked before about the uncanny valley. It's the same with, and this isn't a defense thing. This is like, forget the Tom Cruise thing. It's just what you can do when the actual actor does the sequence. Is there's something in our brains which tells us, like I said, with the Tron Legacy thing, you look at the face and you go, "There's something wrong with the face. I don't know what it is. I just know there's something wrong." And it's the same when a CG like action sequence, when the actor isn't doing it, there's that little bit of your brain where it might look amazing, but you know it's not legit. And when the example I always think of is Mission Impossible Fallout versus I think it was James Bond Skyfall, and they both had sequences in a helicopter. And obviously in Fallout, fucking Cruise is in the helicopter doing all that wacky shit. And what they can do, because he's actually in the helicopter doing this, the sequence looks fucking phenomenal. You watch most movies, and loads of movies have tried to do this. They do an action sequence in a helicopter where the person is, it's all done with CG. It just always looks terrible. It always looks terrible. And that includes Bond.
I can tell you right now that I agree with you on the most part. It's like when you see the stuntman's face in like Face Off, when the boat flipped, you see their face. That's clearly not fucking Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. So the fact he does his own stunts is not a. I'm so contradicting myself. It's so funny. Is not a problem, but it's also because it's Cruise. I can't get over that point. Like it's I want to do this because I'm the man and I can do this. But then I've shut down production for 2 months because I broke my ankle because I'm a dick. Like.
You get that with, Harrison Ford shut down production
literally
on
done
Indiana Jones because he crashed a fucking plane. It's like
we've literally done one fact, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, let's just move
on.
on. Yeah.
Right. This is why we don't do many Tom Cruise films.
I know.
Because you can't get over it. Tom Cruise admitted that Emily Blunt was an actress he wanted to work with for a long time, and he recommended her to the producers for the role of Rita. Doug Liman wanted to do the film because it showed a role that Tom Cruise hadn't done yet, someone very bad at what he does.
He even makes a point of in that opening sequence when he leaves Gleason's office. He's even terrible at running. It's very uncruise,
Yeah.
very uncruise.
Uh, the film takes place in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Fuck.
The
That's
filmmakers
depressing.
described this project as a cross between Groundhog Day and Starship Troopers.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom Cruise spent over $100,000 on a lavish wrap party for the cast and crew. He did not attend himself as he was finishing scenes for the movie and sending everybody a coconut cake.
What a sweetheart. What a psycho for sure, but a sweetheart.
It was Tom Cruise's idea to do 3 film premieres in one day. Emily Blunt said it was harder for a girl because she needed a different dress, hairdo, and makeup for each one, while he just needed a suit. Fucking Tom Cruise, he's a dick.
I don't get it. Like it's like your hatred for him is bizarre. It's straight. Like I feel like he's done something to you, like personally at this point. It's
Show me on the doll where Tom Cruise touched you.
yeah.
Doug Liman liked the film because he got to reshoot the same scenes until he got them right.
No, fair
I
enough.
bet that was fun. Filmed almost entirely at Leavesden Studios, where the Harry Potter films were made. There you go. That's
Yeah.
where where I drove past. Drove? That's where I drove
Drew.
past it. I
Hmm.
drove past it. While preparing for a role here, Emily Blunt was tutored in the Israeli self-defense system of Krav Maga.
Ah, cool.
Tom Cruise's first movie outside of Mission Impossible to gross over $100 million domestically since War of the Worlds.
It was almost seen as a bit of a comeback movie because it's easy to forget now because obviously he's done all these Mission Impossible films and they keep outgrossing each other. But this was still at the tail end of it being something of a comeback after he had like the whole jumping on the couch thing and the Scientology. Like he was like for a while there was just like I'm not sure if we want to make a fucking Tom Cruise movie, but he kind of chipped away. And this was one of the movies that kind of got him. I think everyone was just like, oh yeah, he's still pretty good on screen, even if he is a complete nutter.
Uh, while promoting the movie, a story emerged that Emily Blunt had broken the spirit of Tom Cruise during filming. Blunt cleared this up in an interview and described one particularly hard day where she, Cruise, and other cast members were hanging in their exosuits for quite a while, and Cruise was adamant that they begin filming. Blunt said to Cruise, "This sucks." While Cruise responded in a calm and yet still gung ho manner with, "It's a challenge."
I can imagine if you're not in the right mindset. Was it like fucking Sean? What's his Sean? From Shaun of the Dead. Oh, what's his name?
Simon
Simon
Pegg.
Pegg. Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
Like someone like interviewing him, they say, "Oh, well, what was like a kind of crazy Tom Cruise day?" He goes, "Oh, well, we were filming. He was doing all these crazy jumps, and then just like when we finished shooting, he goes, "Oh, do you guys just want to go shark diving?" And
Yeah.
like, okay, so he then took them all in his helicopter, flew them all to this beach. They immediately trained up for it, and he said, like, next thing you know, they're all in this cage with fucking sharks, and it's just like, just get off the cuff. I guess there's like a certain mental aspect of not only does he want to do it, but he's one of the few people in the world who can just do it off the cuff, where money
Yeah.
is just not an option and no one's going to say no. And you've got the ultimate fuck you, like mode of transportation. I've got my own helicopter. It doesn't matter where I am. I can just leave and fucking go. But it's
That's what we did
mental.
with Pom Clementoff, I want to say, who's in.
Mhm.
She played Mantis, didn't she? In
Oh yeah. In
yeah, and
Guardians.
in Guardians, and now she's in the last 2
Mhm.
Reckoning films. And she said that she mentioned just briefly, I think to Tom, that I'm calling him Tom now, that she wanted to do skydiving. So as a
Mhm.
wrap gift, he bought like skydiving lessons, not just 1 or 2, but enough to get certified. So
Of
it's like
course, of
20
course.
jumps. So he bought a 20 jumps or whatever it was. And then just when she's actually doing her certified jump and all that, he just came, he did like 9 jumps with her in one day while so they're just jumping. And then
It's
at the end of the
weird, man.
day, he gets in his own plane and flies away.
He's right to my mind. He's somewhere between. I know, obviously, you're not a fan, blah blah. He is somewhere between being the most awesome person on earth and being a complete psychopath. And I don't know where the line is. You
You
hear
know who
some of
he
the
is?
stuff he does for other people, and you're just like, man, that's some like stand-up shit he's done. And like, he obviously looks out for people. He hangs around for fans. He goes extra mile to make sure, this film, like he's always talking about like, oh, we're doing this for the fans. I want to go the extra mile because I want this to be this new cutting edge experience and all that. But then then I see him eating the popcorn. I'm like, oh, fucking Rob's right. He is a complete psychopath. No normal human being eats popcorn like that. It just doesn't.
You know who he is? He's Howard Hughes.
There's an element to it.
Yeah, he's
Like,
fucking insane. If somebody turned around to him and said, "Look, Tom, we can make a plane out of sporks," he'd be like, "Right, I'm fucking in. Let's do it."
he's just got this kind of like enthusiasm attached to just like all the means in the world to just do whatever the fuck he wants. But he's obviously in that kind of like Michael Jackson range of like he's so kind of disconnected from actual humanity now. But yeah, bizarre character in many respects.
Right, we're still on facts. I got
Yeah, I
one
know,
more
like
for you.
crazy.
I
Go
got
for
one
it.
more for you. It's a bit of a long one, but I'm gonna do it. So, an alternative, much darker ending was originally scripted for the film during filming. As Cage's group approaches Paris in the dropship, he briefs the soldiers that they must not kill an alpha, or it will cause a time loop, and we'll be right back here having the conversation. We won't even know it. During fighting, one of the soldiers gets separated and confronted by an alpha, so he is forced to kill it. The Omega then responds by resetting the day, and we are indeed back witnessing the same conversation in dropship. Just when the line, "You can bet they'll have a plan for killing us all," is said, the ship is getting shot at, signifying that mimics are using their knowledge of Cage's coming to get the upper hand, and the movie ends. It was Tom Cruise who eventually came up with a happier ending, where Cage survives in a new timeline. Writer Christopher McQuarrie acknowledged that the emotionally satisfying ending was controversial with some, but they felt that the audience got too exhausted by that point for the movie to end on such a harsh note, especially after so much comedy had already been added to the film. The actual released movie has scenes in a dropship where the soldiers are reviewing Cage's warning, and one says, "Do not kill an alpha, or we'll never even know we had this conversation," and they'll know we're coming. When the mimics begin firing on the ship, somebody else, "They know we're coming, Cage." These scenes were probably filmed for the alternate ending. That ending I would have fucking loved.
That I think there is a middle. I understand why they didn't go for that one for like a big like it's a bold ending and that is dark as fuck, especially if you see the ship blowing up. Like that's alongside kind of stuff like The Descent and stuff like that when it kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you and you're just like, holy shit! Did the full? It would be a ballsy move, and I think I'd prefer it to the ending we got. But I think there's probably a middle ground where they get to win the day, but he still dies. I think that's probably the perfect ending for this film. But hey ho. Again, sorry, just one thing. You know, at the end. So if we get past the ending's just the ending, yeah.
Yeah.
When he goes and sees Rita, do you think she knows who he is? Because I thought that first, but then I was like, right, when he walks in, you remember he's everyone's commanding officer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the only reason everyone gives him shit is because of what Bill Paxton's character's been told. So when he comes in, everyone stops and salutes everyone. Like, oh, this is a high-ranking, you know, member of the army or whatever, the security force. Instead, he walks right the way through. She didn't know who he was. She should greet him with a salute as well. But instead, she says a line that he already knows. "Oh, have I got something on my face?" Which to me suggests it might be a bit of an in-joke. Like, I'm not saying definitively, but I was just
I see what you're saying.
Kind of that does support the idea that she also remembers.
I see what you're saying. That seems plausible. To me, I felt that it's just the Full Metal bitch. She doesn't care about authority.
Yeah.
She's relived. She's done the hero of a dance or whatever it was. So fuck. Soldier, a general comes in. What's he gonna do? Make me go to battle? I've already doing that anyway. So, like, she can't be touched because she's the face on fucking double-decker buses. Like they're at war, but they can put somebody on double-decker bus.
No, I know, and it's even like his response then because he smiles. And it's like, oh, is that because he's in on the joke? Or is it because, oh, that's the Full Metal, that's Rita for you, you know? So yeah, I think you can read it either way, which is probably the best part of an otherwise bad ending. But anyway, sorry.
That's right.
That was all the fact.
Yeah.
Hugs the Future, remake, sequel, Let It Die or Leave Well Alone. Well, you mentioned the fact that supposedly there is a sequel in the works. And if you're going to have that ridiculous ending and you're going to have Cruise and Blunt live, let's have the sequel. Because there's enough of this film that I want to see those characters again. I want to see the world again. I don't know how it would work, but you know, there are worse movies I could see being made other than this. So yeah, I'm not like there has to be a sequel to this, but I'm not against this. So I'll say sequel.
Let It Die, repeat. Let It Die, repeat. Let It Die, repeat. Let It Die. That's the joke.
No, I got you. Yeah. So yeah, fair enough. Like, and I mean, you know,
I mean, it's a fucking. It's a Groundhog Day movie. Do you really need another one in the same premise? What, they came back again? Like, I
I
don't
think
understand how a sequel is going to work. They came back
no.
again and they're reliving another day. Oh, we've done this already, have we? Yeah, because I can remember because I got a pasted on happy ending. So we're going to do it
It would
again.
have to be very clever, wouldn't it? And you would lose the whole like part of the reason this works is because of the whole you see Cruz transfer being this horrible weedy character, like the
Yeah.
journey he goes on. You're not going to have that journey anymore because he's already there. So I know what you mean. I mean, you'd like to think that if they're going to make a sequel, they've got a good idea, but it's far from essential.
I mean,
I'm maybe saying that more because there's one in development, but I could just as easily say leave that alone.
snuck in a possibility for a sequel with the, again, exposition doctor going, we don't know how many asteroids have how many mimics floating around out there.
But
You
then you're
know?
just like you're undoing what happened in the first one, which I'm never a fan of. It's just, oh, we
Exactly.
did all
That's what
that,
I
and we're
mean.
just going
Yeah.
to do it again. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I see you convinced me. No, leave one alone. I think you're right. Make a change. Well, this is going to be easy. So this is where you pick one thing to change for the movie to make it better. It's going to be interesting because I think we're both going to say the ending, but mine isn't necessary. If I could only change one thing, it wouldn't be Cruz coming back. I would just have a better action sequence to end the film. And don't be wrong, if I had two, I would choose Cruz
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
leave
No, I
those
get
characters
it.
aside. But if I'm just having one, I'm improving that final action set piece because that's really the thing that disappoints me ultimately.
For me, it is. It blow up the Omega, have a permadeath. You don't need
Yeah,
to
it's fair enough.
repeat it for a pasted on happy ending, which I've said about 7 times already.
That's fair enough. Video games, surprising for a movie which is basically in video game form. There isn't one. But I mentioned earlier, they basically did it with the Surge. Just sans the timey-wimey stuff. It was made by Deck 13 Interactive. The issue was it was perfectly fine, but it was like a poor imitation, not a poor imitation, a solid imitation of FromSoft games. But, I guess the Surge, but made by FromSoft, but just called the fucking, I'm kind of like tiptoeing around it. Like, I guess in the perfect world would literally be From Software making a version of this movie. So yeah, I'll go with that.
It was I can't remember the name of it. So you've mentioned because you've played it. There was a Groundhog Day space game like
Mhm.
not too long ago. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, where you kept playing the same day over and over again. That was like a
Yeah,
proper roguelite. Oh, what the hell was it called? And you're on the spaceship flying about. Oh, I know the one you mean. I just can't remember the top
yeah.
of my head.
I mean, the aliens could just be mimics. And that
Mhm.
one, I just wish I fucking knew the name
Or
of
you
it.
could do something like Dead Souls. It'd be like, that's like a classic roguelite where kind of the whole point of it is that it's all kind of quite vague and ambiguous at the start. And as you play it, not only do you get more skills and, you increase your knowledge and you get further and further each time, but the world kind of, that's what the From Soft games do so well, is that the world building is there if you want to look for it. So it's in like tones and there's references to weapons which if you want to go deep on those games you really can, but on the surface you can also just be like, I'm just playing this like a roguelite from a purely technical perspective, i.e. I just want to keep getting further every time. I think that would actually be the perfect way to kind of have a game based on that and not even have it being Tom Cruise, just have someone else stuck in that bubble. You could even
Yeah.
go back and do a prequel about Rita, maybe something, but I think the important thing is that it's basically made by FromSoft. Best and worst of IMDb, so that's where we pick out a random 10 and 1-star review. In terms of the number of written reviews for this movie, I'm guessing 282.
No. 1,257.
Wowzers, miles off. I didn't realize that. But again, it has become a bit of a cult status, and I think people who like it probably want to talk about it. And maybe it goes both ways. 1,000. I don't know, man. 200, 180 10-star reviews.
How many was there? Sorry.
That's right.
10 stars. There was 310.
Oh, so much loved.
Yeah.
Much loved.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
1-star reviews. Oh, sorry. I
oh,
thought
no,
you
no,
were
sorry.
skipping one.
Sorry. Well, no, I totally confused what I was doing. And uh, so this 10-star review is fantastic. All right. So, written in 2014, so basically just after it's released, titled Very Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Uh, and it's just a list. It's a list of 10 things.
Go for it.
Yeah. Number one, storyline is perfect. It's a brand new story, no copycat. Bullshit. Number two, almost no detail miss. Number three, best expression from main character Cage. He can make us understand by silence. Number four, good science put in it and it's logical. Number five, nice visual effect and sound effect. Good action. Number six, you just can't simply predict what's up next. Believe me, you can't. Number 7, repeat, repeat, but no board because he innovate his movement every time he dead. Number
Jesus
8,
Christ.
nice chemistry between Cage and Emily. Number 9, no stupid sex and unnecessary romance, only one nice short kiss at the right time. Number 10, nice ending. Okay, 10 stars.
Well, I mean, the grammar is insane, and I don't think it's going to make it onto the side of a bus as a movie quote. But I fundamentally agree with like 7 out of the 10 of them. In fairness, but yeah, the way he's gone about his business is legitimately insane. I'm going to go on the go out on a limb here and say maybe English isn't his first language, or give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
If we just take it down to his core, I agree with most of it. But yeah, strange review all the same. 1 star reviews.
1 stars.
I think you're going to be in the minority. I don't know, man. 27?
Oh, dude, 21.
Oh, close.
Yeah. You said I'm going to be in a minority. I didn't give this a
No,
1 star.
Sorry. As I was saying, that wasn't how it was supposed to come out.
gonna say-
I'm not suggesting you're going to give this movie a 1 star review. Sorry.
Just because I don't like Cruise. So, written in 2018, titled "I Have No Words." Well, maybe just 2 things. This movie was the worst. This movie was the most incredible piece of guano I have ever witnessed, and Tom Cruise, probably the worst actor of all times, only made it worse. Don't waste a second of your precious time on this pile of poop.
Not
No,
a
that
fan.
wasn't written by me.
That is, yeah, I mean, incorrect on pretty much every point. But yeah, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Fair enough. But again, the numbers, I'm not surprised by the fact that very few people gave this a 1 star review. So what was it,
Yeah.
like 20 something out of over 1,000? Yeah, seems about right. And I feel like more people will probably come out for this film because, as I said, it has become something of a cult film. So it's almost like, even though it did okay, I feel like more people have come out since and been like, oh no, dude, you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, you should go and watch this film. And it got caught up in the whole video game thing. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. In terms of our ratings and recommendations, for me, this is really easy. It's a 4 and a yes. The ending keeps it away from I'd say for like 50 minutes at the start of this film. This is like a 5 star movie for like near enough an hour. It's legitimately amazing, and then it gets all caught up in the timey-wimey stuff. Then the ending's not so hot, and it easily knocks off a star. But it's still comfortably a 4 star for 4 star movie. I mentioned the intro; it's one of my favorite blockbusters of the century. So, and I have recommended it to many people. So 4 and yes.
It's a 3, and I would recommend it to turn it off just before the ending.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Just as soon as it explodes, just realize he's won and turn the film off.
Yeah. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Just as soon as he, like, once he drops those grenades, just turn off, go, oh, yeah, he died. But, they won the day.
Yeah.
The mimics are all dead. Tom Cruise, definitely dead.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. So that was my choice. 2014's Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. Every time is kill, Live, Die, Repeat, Edge Tomorrow, whatever the fuck you want to call it. What is your choice next week, sir?
So I have a choice. This isn't my choice, but I do have to ask because it was going to be my choice, and I have to do it online. But
I'm very confused now as to whether it is or isn't your choice.
No, this isn't my choice, but I just somewhere down the line it may be because none of us. I don't think any of us have ever seen this film. I've never heard of this film.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a film called Real Men?
Real Men?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Starring James Belushi and John Ritter. Right. 1987. I'm going to read the synopsis, the first part. After scientists accidentally spill a deadly chemical into the ocean that will eventually kill all life on Earth, a group of aliens offer to help humanity. They offer a choice: the good package to clean up the mess, or the big gun, a weapon capable of destroying the planet. The aliens only ask for a glass of water in return, which must be delivered by the CIA. Right?
Fuck?
James Belushi is a CIA agent. John Ritter is a guy who looks like the CIA agent they've requested. I've never seen this film.
Bizarrely, I've seen the poster with the Real Men sign like falling on top of them.
Yeah.
There is no suggestion from the poster as to what this movie is. I cannot believe that was the synopsis. And in one of the pictures, they've got John Ritter, and it was obviously a promo pic. They got John Ritter dressed like fucking Axel Foley. It doesn't work. It's just John Ritter cannot fucking pull that off.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at all the posters, you're like, oh, it's like a kind of zany comedy between a cop and a civilian or something like that. There are fucking aliens in this film? What the fuck?
Apparently.
It's got decent reviews.
Well, yeah. I mean, it didn't do well at the box office. It made $873,000.
Ooh, yeah, that's not so good. I mean, I like Jim Belushi. I like John Ritter. So,
Yeah.
is it James Belushi, isn't it? Sorry,
James
Jim.
Belushi. Yeah,
Some people call him Jim, I
yeah.
suppose.
He calls
Anyway,
himself Jim. Yeah.
so we're not doing that, but that's a
No.
movie. Yeah, I'm glad I heard the synopsis though, because like I said, I remember the poster and I had no fucking idea that's what the movie was about at all.
I
And
mean, it's going
why
on the list.
fucking would I?
It's going on the list. And do you know
Yeah.
what? It could be right, to be fair. I mean, making 873 at it could be one of the box office bombs that we do.
Yeah. Well, we keep talking about doing a box office bomb. The thing is, we can't pick that for box office. But don't get me wrong, it's bomb for sure. But I think when you say box office bomb, you talk about like something which cost a lot and bottom properly.
That's what you call it.
I think there's in fairness, if you want to do that, I just think you're wasting the premise somewhat. If you decided to pick Real Men over, say, I don't know, fucking what's that pirate one? Cutthroat Island.
For Ireland. Oh, that's getting picked.
Don't worry about it. Those are the ones like that has to be picked. Like, and I know on a technical level, Waterworld made money eventually. It's still a notorious flop. So those are the kind of films I might. But sure pick. Go for what you want.
Yeah.
Go for what you want.
All right. So anyway, my pick. The year is 1995.
Okay. We've already done.
I got it last year from your date. You might as well get it.
The only film I can think the films that jump out from 1995 we've already done. So I'm thinking like Fifth Element was 95. Die with a Vengeance was 95. No, I was going to say Pulp Fiction. That was 94. I don't know. Going to need some more.
Yeah, no problem. I can't give you a director. I can't give you the star.
Oh shit.
I will give you one of the actors in it. Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. So now I'm thinking of from 1995. Fuck. It's not a Quentin Tarantino directed film, then I assume.
No.
I don't know. I can't think because again, I'm thinking of Tarantino films, but ones we've already done.
Steve Buscemi.
Oh my god! I should be getting this by now, shouldn't I?
I don't know. I don't know how many times you've seen this film.
All right, just tell me what it is. I'm obviously toying.
I'll give you no. You're getting it. I'll give you the actor,
the
main actor, Antonio Banderas.
Oh, like Desperado.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Jeez,
Yeah.
I totally forgot he was in it. In fairness, I don't think I've seen Desperado since I saw it in like 1997. In fairness, so I can hardly remember that film, and I totally forgot both he and Steve Buscemi were in it. If truth be told,
yeah, Steve Buscemi playing a character called Buscemi.
Oh, there we go. Go. Yeah, I just no recollection. I just remember the guitar case. I obviously remember Salma Hayek for obvious reasons. I remember walking away from explosions and looked like a badass, but I cannot remember Tarantino in it.
I loved this film growing up. I thought it was great. They said the action sequences.
It's like a bit of a remake, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's sort of like a semi-sequel remake because Mariachi.
It's like almost a bit like Evil Dead 2 to Evil Dead almost.
Yeah. So El Mariachi was Robert Rodriguez's first one. So
that's like the low budget one.
Yeah. So he took the story of the mariachi, but then changed what happens to the mariachi, I believe.
Very Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically, I'm going to tell the same story, but with a bigger budget, basically, but have it in some way linked to the original one.
It's gonna be interesting as well to talk about that batshit crazy sequel to this, Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
That was a weird film.
Oh my god, it was. Yeah,
it's not great from what I recall.
It's not great.
It's got some cool bits, like most of his films, but I remember it being quite bad. So that'd be fun to talk about. But I remember Desperado at least being good. But again, I've not seen it in 20 plus years, and I think I've only seen it once. So I'm looking forward to it. Good shout.
I've pulled it out of my hat. I couldn't tell you where it is. So bear with me 1 second.
As to whether we can actually watch it.
Yeah, because we might be doing Real Men. That's on Amazon.
Oh, fair enough. Is it really?
Yeah, that's what made me see it. It popped up after I watched.
What was the movie I saw? Invasion from Mars. The Tobe
Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars. Like fucking title. Just like I just remember seeing the poster. And I hadn't thought about that film for ages, and it looked like ass. And I was just like, wait, that was directed by Tobe Hooper for Canon Films. I'm suddenly kind of on board.
Right, so we can get it on like Amazon Prime and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's not popping up to see if you got to pay for it, but it is streaming on ITVX.
Oh, well, there we go. ITVX. That'll do the trick.
Yeah.
As good as any place. All right. So this has been 2014's Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. Next week, we'll be covering 1995's Desperado, which I think is going to be awesome. Anything else to come before we wrap this up?
No, mate, I'm all good. This was a long one today because I couldn't shut up about the ending.
Certainly was. Okay, I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you have been listening to the Hey Guys podcast. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.